he gets kind of a little abusive to me. He says, you know, he'll say things like, I hate you. He has very effectively painful wording. I hate you. I wish you were, you know, would die. I wish you were, you know, I don't want you to be around. I don't want you to be my dad. All these things. And it's not as if it's not always, it wasn't always triggered by me saying, no, you can't play with the video game. Although usually it was. It was usually me making restrictions and then him saying, well, what do I have? How can I hurt my father with these? That's all I got, you know. It was pretty, you know, I mean, I'm a big boy, but it's pretty tough stuff to hear. And he was just so good at it. Like, he would just say these things that were so, like, you know, wow, how did you even think of that, you know? And then, you know, and they wouldn't it wouldn't last that long, but, you know, there would be periods of time, and I would sometimes even give him space. I was sort of at a loss. I was trying to listen to him, and it seemed like it would encourage him. He would kind of start getting into it, like, oh, I can just abuse you to no end. And it didn't really, it seemed to make it worse in this case. Oh yeah, wrestling, physical play, and slightly sort of tweaking how we, you know, wrestled and so forth. But you know, there was a few other things I did, but it all involved very much like much more physicalness than, you know. It's not like we were very physical in terms of kissing and hugging, but this was more, you know, physical play. You know, he was in one of his moods, but this time this was like, it would be in a reaction. He'd get into one of those moods and I'd say like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna wrestle you, and this time I'm gonna beat you. And he was like, oh yeah, well, I'm really gonna try, you know, to beat you and maybe even hurt you. And I said, well, we're not really gonna hurt each other, but he was sort of like still in his mood. He didn't just, it wasn't a distraction. He was like, okay, forget it, let's play. He was sort of like, oh, I'm gonna convert my anger and play, but not by the rules. And we had this, another thing, we like I did it again, like as long as he wanted to. And it was, you know, very intense, but like we made a lot of eye contact, but I was like, I made it really clear that I was really trying and he was really trying. I mean, if he did try to hurt me, I'd be like, that's, you know, that's not okay to do that. But I wouldn't really scold him as much as redirect it and kind of turn it back into the wrestling match. And we just did it until he was spent, until he didn't want it. He said, okay, I don't want to do it anymore. And then he just kind of like sat up in the bed and sat quietly for a little while. And I went to get a drink of water. And when I came back, he said, Dada, you know, all those times I say he says bad dada. That's what the word he uses, bad dada, bad dada. For all those times I say bad dada, I'm really sorry about that.